Okay, wonderful. The recording has been started. Let's move straight away to the lecture we are going to start. Let me just give you the brief idea about what we had done last time around. છેલ્લે આપણે શું કરેલું એ થોડુંક જોઈ લઈએ બેટા. We had discussed the entire syllabus. I had told you that income tax is divided into two parts. Part number 1 is in the BCom 4 and part number 2 will be there in the BCom 5. We have seen that how many things we are going to cover in the income tax. Now, some people are trying to join this session from their personal email IDs. My humble request to them is that they should try to join it from the Marwadi email ID. Please inform them accordingly. I'm anyway going to create the Google Classroom today, and then we will conduct the lecture from there only. Okay, so let's go to the material straight away. Now, some of the things we are going to do straight away in the material, because this is not something which can be delivered through the PPTs. And I'm not particularly very fond of PPTs. Let me just tell it to you. Because PPTs consist very concise information, which does not have much theoretical base. I just do not want to deliver you some points. Income tax is a kind of a subject where so many references will take place, so many rules and regulations at the same time will be applicable. So that's why let's study it from the material. That's the best way. I always tell it to my students that if possible, you should try to study it from the reference books, from the textbooks. That's what the real reading is. PPTs is not a real kind of a reading. You do not get the conceptual, in-depth knowledge by reading the PPTs. Well, let's move ahead. Okay, so sir, what is the tax? Let's start with the very basic kind of a things. You people might just be aware about it. Okay, may I have the interaction from you guys? What do you feel? What is tax? Can someone tell me? In your words? Let's make it interactive one. We do not want to make it a monologue where I'm just, expressing and you are just at the receiving end. Yes, Mr. Deepak is saying that, sir, it's a charge. Charge on what, beta? What is that charge? કેના ઉપર charge લાગે? Okay, Mr. Ankit is saying that, sir, it is the amount paid to government. Now, Miss Priya says that, sir, it's the charge on goods and services. Okay, Mr. Vijay Rais is also of the same opinion that, sir, it's a charge on goods and services. Well, you are right. The charge on goods and services is called as the indirect tax. We have GST right now, which is there on goods, products and services. But if you are paying the tax on your income, which you are earning directly from the various sources, that is called as the direct tax, and income tax is one of the direct tax. In fact, if I tell you 90% of the collection of the direct tax comes from the income tax only. There are certain other direct tax as well, like estate tax, wealth tax. Those are the tax which are also the direct tax. But income tax is one of the most important and one of the most contributing tax when it comes to direct taxes. Ms. Stephanie is of the opinion that a compulsory financial charge. Yes, I like the word said by Ms. Stephanie. It's compulsory. That is the word which is different from the earlier definitions given by the other students. No one can say that, sir, आज मेरा mood है नहीं है तो मेरे को tax pay नहीं करना है. No one can say that, no, my mood is not so good, so I do not want to pay this time around. No, you will have to pay the tax. Whether in what kind of a manner you are living, if you do not have so much of assets with you, but if you are qualifying to pay the income tax, you will have to pay the income tax at any cost. No one can say that we do not want to pay it. It's not something which is recommendatory. It's mandatory. Compulsion. Everyone will have to pay it. Right? So, Ms. Priya is also giving certain other inputs. We'll go into those words later on. Let me simplify this definition for all of you. Our definition is simple, kariye. Now, this income tax is levied by the government Levied by whom? By the government. No corporate can say that I am levying the income tax on you. No one can say that I am taking the income tax from you who is not a government. It must be levied by the government, obviously. And why government collects any kind of a tax? The road infrastructure you see, the bridges you see, the kind of a dams which government is building, the kind of an administration which government is running, the states are running. Now, every such government facilities, infrastructure will be able to be done only if they collect some revenue. So they collect the revenue from two type of taxes. One is direct and another one is indirect. Right? So in totality, I am right now focusing on the entire tax, not direct and indirect, entire tax. So it is that tax is the amount levied by government on a product, income or activity. It can be their own activity too, like there are certain entertainment tax. If you go to the theaters and watch a movie, then entertainment tax is also been collected on it. So it's the activity which you are doing on which the tax is collected. So it can be on product, can be on your income, can be on certain other activities as well. Right? So let's bifurcate it further. I hope everyone is able to read this properly. If not, let me just zoom it up further so that you will be able to get it in a better way. So there are two types of taxes. One is direct, another one is indirect. We all are aware about it. Direct tax is the one which is levied on income or wealth of a person. Income or wealth of a person. So understand, there is a difference between the income and wealth. Income is the regular flow of something which you are receiving. Because you are doing some work, you are receiving some regular flow. Wealth is the accumulation of your income. Over the number of years, you have gathered the income. For all this number of years, you have gathered some money, some assets, some financial assets, some properties, some real estate properties, all such sort of things. The accumulated amount is considered as the wealth. The difference between the income and wealth is, income is the regular flow of money which you are receiving because of the work and activity you are doing. Your work and activity might be for some organizations, then you might be receiving the salary. Your work and activity might be for your own self, so it can be a business and profession income for you. Right? So income as well as the wealth. Over a period of time, you earn the income and wealth is getting accumulated. So there are wealth tax too. But wealth tax is not the part of our syllabus right now. So we'll not be focusing on that. But wealth tax as well as the income tax, both are considered as direct tax. Why direct tax? Because each and every individual like you and me will be paying the tax directly to the government. Each one of us is personally liable to pay the income tax to the government. Each one of us is personally liable to pay the wealth tax to the government. It is directly levied on us. We know, we are aware about it. We know how to calculate it. We know how much amount we are supposed to pay. That's why it is called direct. हमारे आंख के सामने है, हमें मालूम है कि हमें कितना टैक्स पे करना है, कितने के ऊपर पे करना है, हमारी कितनी इनकम है, ये सब हमें मालूम है, इसलिए उसे हम डायरेक्ट कहते हैं बेटा. अब इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स ऐसे होते हैं जो आपको मालूम भी नहीं पड़ते, लेकिन आपके खिस्से में से कटकी हो जाती है. क्या हो जाती है? कटकी. Some percentage portion of the money gets deducted, or it's been taken away from you without even the knowledge of yours. Do you know that a one soap you are purchasing from a supermarket of 10 rupees, that involves so many number of taxes. So along with the MRP, which is the maximum retail price, say 10 rupees is written. In bracket, you will always observe that it is written inclusive of all the taxes. But you are not aware that how many taxes are included over there. And let me tell you, these taxes are paid by you, no one else. The ultimate consumer, customer who is who is taking the advantage of that product is paying the tax. No one else is going to pay the tax. The person who is selling you the goods is not paying the tax. It's the you who is paying the tax. Now you will wonder, आपको ऐसा लगेगा कि सर हम 10 रुपए टैक्स किसी का एमआरपी देते हैं तो उसमें हमने कैसे टैक्स पे किया? इसके लिए एक पूरी सिस्टम है, वो मैं आपको एक्सप्लेन करूंगा अभी. राइट नाउ we will be taking some example in which I'll tell you that how indirectly you are paying the tax on goods and services. We will understand that entire system, right? So let's first understand the definition of indirect tax. Yes dear, anyone want to say something? Okay, fine, let's move ahead. So when tax is levied on goods and services for which you do not have the knowledge, you are not aware that how much percentage of a tax you have paid on MRP, which you are paying to the shopkeeper, the goods you are buying, the petroleum which you are filling in your vehicles, the wearing apparels you wear, the jewelries you purchase, the furnitures you use, the services you take from the chartered accountants, from doctors, from lawyers, everyone is collecting the tax from you, my dear friends. We are not aware about it. Every single goods you are purchasing, you are paying the tax on it. So many of the people says me that at one point of time I was listening to one of the arguments in the Facebook by some of the people. Obviously, I would not like to give the name and the references, but they were like that poor people are not contributing in the tax. I was very furious on that. I said, why not? They are contributing. Do you know that indirect tax collection is much, much higher than the direct tax collection? The goods and services which every individual is, enjoying, consuming, they are paying the tax on it. They are just not aware about it. So many of the messages I got that only 3% population of India pays the income tax. Only 5% of the population of India files the income tax return. That's fine. Understood. And I also agree that many people are not paying the income tax, though they are supposed to pay it. But no one can say that poor people who are not filing the income tax are not contributing in the tax at all. Absolutely not. They are the people who are contributing the most to the tax. તમે એક સાબુ પરચેસ કરો તો સાબુની અંદર 2 રૂપિયા ટેક્સના વયા ગયા તો એ ટેક્સ પે ના કર્યો કે ભાઈ ગવર્મેન્ટને? તો શું તમે રિટર્ન ફાઇલ ન કર્યું તો એવું કહી શકે કોઈ કે તમે ટેક્સ પે નથી કરતા? આ હું લેપટોપ પરચેસ કરું છું, અત્યારે તમારી સામે બોલું છું, એ લેપટોપની અંદર ટેક્સ ઇન્વોલ્વ છે. લેપટોપ્સના એક એક પાર્ટિકલ્સ, કોમ્પોનન્ટ્સની અંદર ટેક્સ ઇન્વોલ્વ છે. The mobile phone which you are using, the tax is involved in that. The motorbike you are using, the tax is involved in that. The petroleum which you are using for your vehicles, the tax is involved in that. And you would be surprised to know that how much percentage of a tax is there in the petroleum products. The effective cost of the petrol right now would be hardly 30 to 35 rupees, but including all the taxes, the price is right now reaching to around 80 rupees, 75 to 80. Yes, this is the amount of tax we are collecting from the people. So poor people क्या पेट्रोल कंज्यूम नहीं करते तो वो टैक्स पे नहीं कर रहे? So it's very illogical argument. Does not stand at all when it comes to the logic that people does not pay the tax. It's not always like those who file the income tax return are only paying the tax. Each and every individual is paying the tax. The moment you use any utilities, the moment you use any goods, the moment you use any services from these people, you are paying the tax. Right? So let's understand that how this indirect and direct tax works. Okay, so let me first take the example of some of my students here. So I have Mr. Brian here. Let's take the example of Mr. Brian. Then I have Miss Devangi too. I'm just taking the random names. Please do not worry. Some people would be like, sir, आपने इन्हीं का ही नाम क्यों लिया? तो बेटा मेरे को जो अभी दिख रहा है उनका नाम ले लेता. So I have Miss Devangi, Mr. Brian, then I can see Mr. Dhruv is also listening, and we have Mr. Dilip too. Okay, so let's take the example. Just give me a 1 second. I'm explaining that to you. Okay, say how the burden of the indirect tax is transferred to ultimately to the person who is consuming the goods. I'm explaining you that process. Okay, say Mr. Brian is a manufacturer of a mobile phone, right? So I'm just writing the name of him. Brian, please excuse me if I'm making the spelling error over here. Sorry in advance. I don't think it's a wrong one, but even if it is wrong one, please excuse me. Or if I'm making some pronunciation mistake, then also please excuse me. I'm not very much fond of communication. Okay, so say he is the mobile phone manufacturer. Then once Brian produces all the mobile phones, he obviously sells it to the distributors. So Miss Devangi is the distributor of Gujarat state. Now Miss Devangi is purchasing from Mr. Brian in bulk. She has directly contacted this manufacturer who is Mr. Brian. She is purchasing in a lot, in a huge quantity, right? Now see, Miss Devangi is someone who is interested just in the distribution at the wholesale level. She do not want to go to the customers at the individual level. She is like, sir, इसमें मेरे को मजा आता है, इधर से लॉट परचेस करो, बाकी सबको बेच दो लॉट के अंदर, एक एक को जाके मुझे बेचना नहीं है. So Miss Devangi would be selling it to say Mr. Dhruv. Now Mr. Dhruv is say the wholesaler. He is a wholesaler. So Miss Devangi is controlling the entire Gujarat region, the distributor of this particular mobile phone brand. Then Miss Devangi would be selling it to Mr. Dhruv, and there would be many other people like Mr. Dhruv who will be taking it from Miss Devangi. Now say Mr. Dhruv is operating at the district level. So for Rajkot district, Mr. Dhruv is operating. For Ahmedabad district, there would be someone else. For some other districts, wherever districts, for Morbi, there would be someone else. So for every district, there would be some particular wholesaler or wholesalers, right? Now let's assume that Mr. Dilip is a retailer. Now he is someone who is purchasing it from Mr. Dhruv, and he is selling it ultimately to the customers. And we all are the class people, BCom 4 are the customers of Mr. Dilip. Now let's try to understand how the burden of tax in indirect taxation gets transferred to ultimately us. Now when Brian transfers these goods to Miss Devangi, say for example Brian has a cost of 80 including his profit, then he will take some tax on it. He will collect some tax from Miss Devangi. Say the tax he has collected is 15. So he will take 95 rupees from Miss Devangi. Try to understand this. Huh? So how much total amount he has taken from Miss Devangi? 95. Now 80 rupees is the price of that product, and 15 rupees he has collected as a tax, which is a goods and service tax. So ultimately Miss Devangi will have to pay 95 rupees to Mr. Brian. Now, how much amount Mr. Brian will have to submit to the government? 80 rupees is his cost as well as profit, obviously not required to be paid to the government. But 15 rupees which he has collected from Miss Devangi is the tax amount, will be paid by Mr. Brian to government. Try to understand. I am taking just an example to make you understand. Now let's take the example of Miss Devangi. Now Miss Devangi will be selling to Mr. Dhruv at 110, including the taxes. So in 110, she has collected the tax of, say for example, 20, right? So now let's understand it from the perspective of Devangi. Now Devangi has collected 20 rupees from Mr. Dhruv. How much she has collected? 20. So that's this 20 rupees Devangi is supposed to submit it to the government of India. Yes or no? Everyone is clear till now? But Devangi has already paid 15 rupees to Mr. Brian as a tax. So now Devangi will not pay entire 20 rupees to the government of India, please. હવે આ 20 રૂપિયા પૂરા દેવાંગી પે નહીં કરે. એ કેટલા કરશે? કોઈ મને કહેશે કેટલા એને દેવાંગીને પે કરવાના આવશે? Guess it, that's fine. She has paid 15 rupees to Mr. Brian and she has collected 20 rupees from Mr. Dhruv. So how much amount Miss Devangi is supposed to pay to the government? Can someone tell me? Very true, Mr. Uttam. Deepak, Aniket, absolutely correct. Yes, Mr. Harsh. So Devangi will be paying only 5 rupees. So she has taken the credit of 15 rupees which she had paid to Brian. So ultimately, Miss Devangi is not paying any tax. Yes, you have heard it right. Miss Devangi is not paying any amount of tax. She had collected 20 rupees from Dhruv. She had given 15 rupees to Brian. Rest 5 rupees she is paying to the government of India. Now that 5 rupees was anyway already collected from Mr. Dhruv. Now try to understand, the price of that product has increased. Now Mr. Dhruv will be selling to Mr. Dilip at, say for example, 150 rupees, in which 25 rupees of tax is collected. So his profit as well as all kind of a cost, everything by including that, Mr. Dilip is selling it to the retailer, who is a retailer, who is selling it to the consumers at, say for example, 150 rupees. And in that 150 rupees, 25 rupees is the tax. So apply the same logic now, my dear friends. Apply the same logic. Dilip has paid 20 rupees to Dhruv. Dilip has collected 25 rupees from all the BCom 4 students like us. So Dilip will have to pay 5 rupees just to the government of India. Dilip will receive the input credit of 20 rupees. The amount which he has paid to his supplier is called as input credit. Right? So Dilip is just supposed to pay 5 rupees to the government of India. So effectively Dilip has also not paid any tax, because all the people on whom the tax was imposed, they have increased their MRPs. Obviously no one will be incurring the loss, right? People are doing the business for the purpose of profit. So everyone would be obviously increasing the MRP, the selling price, which would be including the taxes, in which they are not in the loss. Now ultimately the person who is the BCom 4 honor students, who are the ultimate consumers, would be paying 150 rupees to Dilip, and the people like us would be like, sir हमने 150 रुपए दे दिए, तो बेटा टैक्स जितने भी गया ना वो तुम्हारे पैसे से ही गया है, क्योंकि तुम 150 दे रहे हो. अब इन लोग के पैसे से खिस्से में से टैक्स इसलिए नहीं गया क्योंकि अंडरस्टैंड, Brian had collected 15 rupees from Devangi only. If you take the example of 15, so he was not paying that tax. Now Devangi has paid 15 rupees to Brian, but she has collected 20 rupees from Dilip. So she will have to just pay 5 rupees to the government. In the same manner, Dilip has also not paid any kind of a tax. He has collected 25 rupees from us, the normal consumers, who are the ultimate people who will be using these goods. And Dilip has paid 20 rupees to Dhruv. So he is paying rest 5 rupees. So he has also collected the tax from consumers only. So ultimately, who bears the burden? Who is the one who is paying the tax? But he is even not aware about it. We are not even aware about the fact that how much of taxes we are paying, because we know what is the MRP or what is the price being charged by our retailer. That's gonna be 150. So ultimately the burden of tax is belonging to whom? That is my question. In indirect tax, what is the ultimate person who is taking the burden of tax? May I have the answer of that question now? Okay, I'll clarify the doubt of Mr. Prince. Absolutely. Very good doubt. No, Mr. Brian, it won't be a double taxation. It won't be a double taxation, I tell you. Because she will have to just pay 5 rupees. And if 5 rupees would be paid, no, then it won't be a double taxation. But if Devangi will pay entire 20 rupees, then it would be a double taxation, because 15 is paid by Brian as well and Devangi is also paying 20. Then it's a double taxation. But if supposed to pay only 5 rupees, then it is just the additional value she is paying. So it's not going to be the double taxation. Yes, so I have got the answer from Devangi, Jil, Jeet, Priya, Maya, Soumya. Everyone is perfectly correct. The ultimate burden is of the customer, the consumer who is going to use this product and service. Because rest everyone is taking the credit. Rest everyone is collecting it from the next person. Rest everyone is adjusting the amount which is paid by him or her to his or her supplier. Rest everyone is not taking any kind of a burden of tax. Only burden of tax is belonging to ultimately the consumers. That's why it is called indirect tax. आपके जेब में से खिस्से में से पैसे जा रहे हैं लेकिन आपको मालूम भी नहीं है, क्योंकि आपने सिर्फ उसकी फीस पे की, आपने सिर्फ अमाउंट पे किया, right? So let's understand the difference between direct and indirect taxes. Give me a 1 minute. My charging is low, so I'm just putting it in a charging, and then I'll back in a 30 seconds. Okay, thank you very much. I'm back. So let's go to the differences we have for direct and indirect taxes. Let's move ahead with the differences. Okay, so these are the difference. Number one, tax is directly levied on income and wealth. That's why it is called direct tax. It is just the meaning and definition of it, right? So everyone has got it now. And everyone is aware that indirect tax is levied on the price of goods and services. Okay. So now you have got the second difference, which I have just explained it to you numerically by taking the example demonstration. Burden of tax cannot be shifted in direct tax. But in indirect tax, burden of tax can be shifted. The ultimate burden is of the consumer. We have seen that by taking the example. No manufacturer, no wholesaler, no distributor, no retailer is paying the tax out of his pocket. Ultimate burden can be transferred to the next person, and the ultimate next person will obviously be the consumer. So he is bearing the entire burden of indirect tax in spite of the fact that he is not aware about it. Right? So if you take the direct tax example, the burden of tax cannot be shifted at all. If you are supposed to pay the income tax, only you will be paying the income tax. If Miss Devangi has earned the income of 25 lakhs rupees in the entire year, then only Miss Devangi will have to pay the income tax on it. She cannot transfer her burden on anyone else. She herself will be liable to pay it. That's why it is a direct tax. Right? Let's take the third difference. Now, direct tax does not increase the inflation. but indirect tax increases the inflation. So what is the inflation? Can someone tell me? Can someone tell me what is inflation? Yes, Brian, you are right. If she had paid 20, then it would be a double taxation. Very true. Yes, Mr. Prince is that it's a teji. ફુગાવો કહીએ ને આપણે ફુગાવો. Inflation is the increased amount of prices. No, Miss Priyanka, it's not decrease, it's increase. Right? So inflation is the additional money you pay for the goods and services. Say, for example, last time when you were purchasing the vada pav, you were paying 20 rupees, but in this year after Corona, if the vada pav prices has increased to 30 rupees, then 10 rupees is the inflation. So increase in the value, increase in the denomination, increase in the purchasing cost of the goods and services is called as the inflation. Right? Yes, yes. Time value of money gets reduced because of the inflation. Yes, very true, Priyanka. Very good. So that's gonna be the topic of financial management, time value of money. If I'll go over there, then it would again be taking too much of time. Very good. Uh, so if I take the indirect taxes like goods and service tax, if you would have observed, at every point of time, whenever the goods are transferred from one party to another party, in every value addition, the tax amount is getting increased. Now, for every value addition, if the tax amount is getting increased, then ultimately the consumer will pay too much of prices. So if you put too much of indirect taxes, no, then consumer will have to bear too much of burden of paying the high cost for the goods and services which they are buying. So if I just give you the example of petrol, I have just given you that effective cost of petroleum, the manufacturing cost, is just 30 to 35 rupees right now in India. That's the proven fact. You can Google it. But we are paying 80 rupees per 1 liter of petrol. So if you would include too many indirect taxes, in petrol as well, there is an excise duty, which is again an indirect tax because it is charged on goods and services. So that is too much of inflation now. Now, because of the fact that petroleum is too much costly, 80 rupees. Now, transportation from one place to another place will also be very costly. So all the manufacturing outlets who are using the transportation, they will also increase their price because they will have to pay 80 rupees per liter of petrol. So that's why they will also bear the they will also be bearing the additional cost of petrol, right, for their transportation. જામનગર થી રાજકોટ તમારું ગુડ્સ જતું હોય તો ઇન્ફ્લેશન વધે ને પેટ્રોલનો ભાવ વધે તો તમારો ખર્ચો વધી જાય કે ન વધી જાય? And if you are doing the business and your expense is getting increased because of the higher petroleum prices, obviously you are not there for the loss. You will always be increasing your profit or increasing your prices, and ultimate burden will be transferred to the person who will be utilizing your service or your goods. So it increases the inflation. If too many indirect taxes are involved at too much of rates, then it creates the burden, too much of burden ultimately on the customers. और कस्टमर्स को बेचारों को मालूम भी नहीं पड़ता कि उनके खिस्से में से पैसे निकल गए हैं. Okay, fourth difference, tax evasion is possible. What is the evasion? Evasion माने के चोरी, tax theft. That means if you are liable to pay the tax but you are not submitting your tax to the government, that's the tax evasion. Evasion means you are not paying the mandatory amount of taxation which you are supposed to pay. બેટા તમારે જે પે કરવાનું આવે છે એ તમે પે નથી કરતા, એને કહીએ આપણે evasion. તો ડાયરેક્ટ ટેક્સ ની અંદર evasion is possible because individually government કેટલાને કંટ્રોલ કરે? તમારા મારા જેવા લાખો છે, કરોડો છે. હું એકાદો ટેક્સ પે નહીં કરી દઉં તો કદાચ ઇન્કમ ટેક્સ ના રડારમાં હું આવું ને ના પણ આવું. You must have seen that only 5 to 6% of the population of India pays the income tax. I mean, in that too, so many people are not paying by taking the various advantages of rebates and allowances, reductions and all. તો શું 95% લોકોની કઈ ઇન્કમ જ નથી થતી? થતી હોય, બટ ઇન્ડિવિજ્યુઅલી ગવર્મેન્ટ કેટલા કેટલા લોકોને ટ્રેક કરે ને પ્રૂવ કરવા જાય કે ભાઈ whether your income was 5 lakhs rupees or more or not, whether you are supposed to pay the income tax or not. How many people you will be litigating? How many people you will be putting in the court of law? For how many people you will be, for whom you will be taking some efforts? Otherwise, your efforts cost will be increased a lot. If you will be running behind each and every Tom, Dick, and Harry, then your administrative cost will be increased a lot. So individuals cannot be controlled because individuals are millions in billions, especially like countries like India and China, where we are in billions right now. So tax evasion is possible, but it's very difficult to do the tax evasion in indirect taxes. Because see, government will have to control only few. The people who are involved in selling the goods and services, they are less as compared to the total number of population, the people we have in the entire country. They can be controlled. Tax evasion is difficult because say if you have collected the tax from someone and if you do not submit it to the government of India, then you will be caught. You will be definitely caught because this system is built in such a manner where everyone will have to give the reference to the invoice numbers. No one can take easy advantage of the indirect taxes. I do not say that tax evasion is not at all possible. People do that too. You must have observed that before just a few days, there was a case study of too many fake invoices. One chartered accountant was taken into a custody. Fake invoices બનાવીને તમે tax GST નું input credit એ લોકો charge કરતા હતા. Anyway, that would be a different complicated matter to understand right now. Later on, whenever we'll be progressing, we'll come to that point too. In that too, it's possible, but it's difficult. I'm not saying it's not difficult. I'm not saying it's not possible. It's possible, but it's very, very difficult. Right? Some of the examples of the direct taxes: income tax, wealth tax, estate duty. Now, wealth tax, estate duty, these are not the taxes which we are going to cover. Our focus is only on the income tax. And some of the indirect taxes are GST, entertainment tax, and all such sort of a tax which are levied on goods and services, excise duty. Now, earlier, instead of GST, there was excise as well as service tax. Service tax was also different and excise was also different. Before that, there was a sales tax too. Now, this government come out with the GST, which was goods and service tax. So, excise as well as service tax was eliminated. So, service tax and excise both putting together, they came up with the GST to simplify the process. But unfortunately, the processes are not that much simplified. Let me tell it to you. And our collections are also not up to the mark which we were expecting. The kind of an expectations we had for the collections from the GST in India are not up to the mark. They are much lesser than our expectations, our projections. Anyway, let's not go into that. So these are the various examples of direct and indirect taxes, but you have understood the process and mechanism behind direct and indirect tax now, right? You have understood that how the burden of tax is shifted, and you have understood the basic difference between the two. Yes. So what is the black money, Mr. Dhruv? Black money is nothing but the money on which the tax is not paid. Black money એટલે કોઈ કાળા પૈસા ન હોય એમ. It's the money on which tax is not paid. That's why it's a black money. Okay. So that's it. Anyone who couldn't understand anything till now? Anywhere, if you have a doubt, let me know. So we have understood. Let's have a quick fire revision. What we have done today. Just wait for a minute and then we will be winding of this session. We have understood that what is this direct tax, what is this indirect tax, and we have understood the differences between the two, right? So there is no doubt in that as of now. I've also told you that how the burden of tax is transferred to the next person in indirect tax, and in direct tax it's not possible. Okay, so once the basics and the foundation is strong, ઓલી બિલ્ડિંગ બાંધતી હોઈએ ને તો એ સમયે જો ફાઉન્ડેશન સ્ટ્રોંગ થઈ જાય તો પછી આગળ ગમે એટલા માળ બાંધીએ તો વાંધો ન આવે. તો શરૂઆતના લેક્ચરમાં બેટા થોડુંક વધારે કોન્સન્ટ્રેટ કરજો. It's my humble submission, my request to all of you. If you will be concentrating on the initial lectures well, then it would be pretty easy for you to understand fourth and fifth module. જેટલું પાયો મજબૂત એટલી બિલ્ડિંગ વધારે ટકાઉ. So that's it from my side. Everyone would be putting their attendance in their Google chat box. And once your attendance is done, then you may disperse from the day. Bye bye. Take care. Sayonara. Enjoy your rest of the day. फिर से मिलेंगे नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में. Do not forget to put your attendance, please.